Hey, how are you doing on this fine Mother's Day? Such a nice morning, little mild to start with. So, welcome to Unity of Stockton, oneness of mind and body and spirit. It's a positive path for spiritual living. So glad you're here. So good to see you all. Happy Mother's Day, all you mothers and all you daughters, and all of you who have the nurturing aspect to you. So, you should all have that. So, mothers, give yourself a big old hug. Daughters, give yourself a big old hug because, after all, we learned from you and you made us mothers. Without you, I would be nothing. Where would I be without you? And all of you who have that nurturing aspect to you, which should be all of you, give yourself a big hug and welcome to you all. Hope you have a great day. Let me tell you just a little about what Unity of Stockton is all about. It's spiritual, not necessarily religious, although there are some in our community who are pretty religious, but it's usually more spiritual than religious, a personal relationship with our divine creator. We honor the divine presence and the nuggets of truth that are present in all religions, all paths. No matter where you are on your path, that is where you need to be exactly. And sometimes when we stray off path, we err in our way of being and thinking, we just gently realize that and become aware of it and move ourselves back on path. No beating ourselves over the head. That doesn't help. We would consider our theology to be metaphysics. Metaphysical meaning we see beyond the literal to a deeper exploring of spiritual ideas and principles. And we think that life is our opportunity to develop and practice our spiritual principles in human form. We always have choices that we can make with any given situation. We are not victims. So there's a lot more to Unity than that, but in a nutshell, just to give you some idea of what we're all about. We do believe in oneness with each other and with our divine spirit. The Father is in me and I am in you. I am in you and you are in me. So be sure to check in on Facebook. I hope that you're all saying hi to each other. If you're viewing live, in the comments section, please do say something, anything in the comments section so that I know you're here, because it's such a joy to me afterwards to go back and see all of you who were here that I can't tell right now. But if you say something in the comment section, then I'll know that you were here. Otherwise, I have no idea. So say hi, put a big heart in the comment section, or say love, or happy day, or Mother's Day, or whatever. Just something so I know you're here. Check in on Facebook if you would. Let people know you're here. It helps us tremendously. And go to our new Unity Stockton YouTube channel and subscribe. Hit the subscribe button. The more people subscribe, the more things we can do with that channel. So, much appreciated. So, I want to go a step further by saying Namaste, meaning the divine that's in me sees the divine that's in you, because there is that divine aspect that is present in each and every one of us. The spark of the divine. We are creations of the divine, of God, of Source, of our Creator, of your higher self. However you say it is fine. It does not matter how you say it. What matters is how you live it, be it, that you want it, that you aspire to it, that you seek it, that you vow to merge with it, to become one with it, to become more like it. That divine energy, that divine spark, that beautiful spiritual essence that is God, that is everything. That's what really matters. So the divine in me does honor the divine in you. Namaste. Special Mother's Day message today. This is from Frankenstein, actually. Beware, for I am fearless and therefore powerful. Ha! This was the name of a particular episode on the Netflix series Anne with an E, about Anne of Green Gables. And the reason was one of the teenage boys who was smitten with this one girl gave her a present, and it was the book called Frankenstein. And that's why the name of the episode was called Beware, for I am fearless and therefore powerful. And that was my talk for today, and then I realized it was Mother's Day, and I thought, that fits. That certainly does fit. Because we mothers, we have to be powerful in order to do what we need to do. I can tell you a story. I have not always been powerful and courageous and protective of myself and nurturing of myself. I'm working on that. I have not always been as much of that as I am nowadays. It's something to work toward. But let me tell you, I sure can be powerful and fearless when it comes to protecting others. One time, one of our visiting ministers, guest minister, Reverend Dr. Gail Darren, said to me, "Wow, you are like a fierce lioness. You are like a mother hen when you're running this Unity of Stockton community." And I am. There have been times where I felt some poisonous energy entering in, and I was on it. And I remember another time when I was young. I was on a bus going to school. My brother was sitting in the seat behind me, and these neighborhood bullies were picking on him. And I heard this, and me being big sister, a year older, I turned around in my seat. I got up on my knees and hung over the seat, and I looked at those boys, and I said, well, I don't know what I said. I don't even remember this incident. My brother tells me about it. And I said to him, "BJ, Ben Johnson, my brother, what did I say?" And he said, "Well, I don't remember what you said either, but I just know that those guys never bullied me again." So I guess I have that fierceness in me. Beware, I am fearless and therefore powerful. So sometimes I don't even know I have it in me until it's time for me to protect someone. So that's that mothering side too. We think of the father as protective, but man, sometimes we mothers can be really fiercely protective, like fierce lionesses, like mother hens. And other times we just allow the nurturing side to come out. So there are all those aspects. I was on my minister Facebook page. It was we share with each other throughout each day, and we go on there and get ideas, and what are you experiencing about this? And some of them were having trouble finding something to cover on Mother's Day. It's like every year I want to do something different, and it's hard to think of something different. And how do you cover Mother's Day when so many of us are in pain on this day? Triggered, grief, triggered by the Mother's Day holiday, not feeling the joy around the sentiment. So one minister said, "I always go for honoring the mother within us all." Those aspects such as nurturing. We all have that nurturing aspect to us, that powerful aspect to us. Mothers are powerful, as are fathers. That protective aspect. That's the real mother to honor for all of us. My mother used to say the word mother is the most beautiful word in the English language, and it is. So, even for those who are triggered, and for those who had joyous relationships with your mother, if we honor that mother aspect within us all, it's a perfect spiritual thing to do. And if we do feel joy around honoring our mothers, that's wonderful. And to acknowledge the pain that's triggered by so many is important too. And this Mother's Day seems even more difficult for some. Those who have mothers who are in nursing homes or hospitals and they can't even visit them. For those reasons and more. Those of us who can't be with our daughters, I haven't seen my daughter in person for a long, long time, because we're honoring the social distancing, and I miss her. We go on live phone calls and stuff, but that helps a lot, but sometimes it's just not enough. I understand she's going to bring me flowers today, right, Rachel? and drop them off in a safe way. But so this Mother's Day can be even more difficult for some, and others a joyous occasion still. You know, we learn from our mothers. I certainly learned from mine. Sometimes we learn through loving experiences, and sometimes we learn the hard way through the middle of the struggles and the challenges in the relationship. There was a time when I said to someone, my mother and I didn't always get each other, especially when I was a teenager. And I heard my mother say in my own mind and heart, she said to me, oh, that just challenges make you stronger. Or something to that effect, she said to me in my mind. And I thought, wow. So we learn from our mothers one way or another, through the back door or coming right in the front door of love and nurturing. And no matter who our mothers are, we've had both experiences. Some more of the other kind, some more of this kind, some in our interpretation of events that happened, see it more one way or the other. It doesn't matter whether it's our interpretation or our way of seeing it. It's still true for us. We also learn from our daughters. After all, we wouldn't be mothers if it weren't for our daughters and our sons. So what would we be without you? You know, in psychology, which is my major, there are 4 parenting styles, basically, that they study. And one of them is called authoritarian, and that one is more a disciplinarian. And you would typically hear an authoritarian with that style go, because I said so. And I'm the parent. And then you have, and for each of these styles, let me preface it by saying, in psychology they say, if you are dominantly more one of these styles than another, this is the kind of situations or issues your child will grow up to have. But I want to say that there's also a positive way of seeing each of these parenting styles, the things that a child comes out with that are not so much discussed in the psychology. Okay, the second style would be the permissive or indulgent style. You might hear them say, oh, well, kids will be kids, whatever. And then there's the uninvolved parent who just allows the kid to learn for themselves. And then there is the authoritative, which sometimes gets confused with the authoritarian. The authoritative is a more democratic style, where they have high expectations for their child, but they also teach the child that they have choices, and they do it in a very loving way. So thinking about my own mom, the kind of mom I was, and we may not have just one of those parenting styles, and our mom may not have had just one. I remember my girlfriend saying to me, we were both graduate students at UC Davis. Her name is Dr. Kathleen Hoyt. And she said to me, she watched me raise Rachel, and she said, you're very permissive, and so Rachel's going to grow up with these kind of problems. Kathy, if I'm getting you wrong, please forgive me. That's a real nutshell kind of summary, which is not the whole totality of it. But at any rate, looking over these parenting styles, I think a lot of the time I was more authoritative, more democratic, more trying to talk to her, reason things out like an adult, which may have not been easy for her as a child. Me being the psychologist, I pity her for having to have a psychologist for a mom, and now she has a minister. Oh boy. Well, she got the benefit of that too. So, looking at the positive sides. There are helicopter moms. Like, I have a new kitty. I've had him since January. He is so sweet and beautiful. And he's wanting to come outside and join Lily, who I let outside when I'm out here. But I've been so protective, scared to death that he'll go off somewhere and not find his way home, or someone will take him because she is so gorgeous that she'll go under the porch or under the neighbor's house, or get in a fight with a raccoon, or So yesterday I've just been like a helicopter hovering over her, letting her out little by little, and just like a helicopter. And I have to let go at some point, but it's not easy. And then there are protective moms, like my daughter. When she'd get word from the school that something was happening with one of my 2 grandchildren, Well, she would be right over there. You don't do that to my child. And she was very protective. Then there's the mother that sees all sides. That was me. Rachel would come home from school and she'd have been in a fight with someone or some problem at school, some challenge at school. And I would go, well, let's see. What were all the circumstances that led to this? And could you have had some part in it that you could learn from? I think she may have seen that maybe I wasn't nurturing enough and she could have used a little more nurturing at the time. And I wish I had done things differently. But hey, those of us who are beating ourselves over the head, regretting things that we didn't do or say that we wished we had, or regretting things we did do or say that we wished we had not, we need to be gentle with ourselves, considering what we had going on with our lives while we're trying to raise children at the same time. I wish I had known my mother better. I had not a clue what she had on her plate, what her life was like, what her life had been like. Had I known that, I might have understood better why she did and said some of the things she did and did not do, and say some of the things she didn't. Now I'm closer, now that she's on the other side, and has been for many years. I'm closer to her than ever before. She's really with me, and I have a greater understanding. And maybe at the time I wasn't ready to be able to even understand, had I known the fullness of her life. Maybe I needed to do my own spiritual work first. And in this process of a day of forgiveness for myself, for not doing all the things I wish I had, or forgiveness for her for not being the mother that I wish she had been, that I thought she ought to be. Little did I know at the time, but I think before we can truly forgive ourselves and our mothers for the perceived infractions or lack thereof, before we can truly get to that place of forgiveness that's not just intellectual, but that is deep within our heart and soul, where we really truly feel the relief of that forgiveness. Before we can get there, we need to go through the middle of the challenge. And we need to do our own spiritual work first. Then and only then can it be that deep and everlasting relief and peace that we so yearn for. Okay, the next kind of parent, the permissive or the uninvolved. You know, the flip side of that, maybe there are problems with that. And when we're little, it's hard for us to understand. But as we grow older and we become wiser, hopefully, with that kind of parent, we learn independence. We learn how to solve our own problems. We learn to be resourceful. You know, my mother didn't always show her love in emotional ways. She showed her love in practical ways. We always had plenty of clean, ironed clothes. They were yard sale clothes. We grew up poor, but we had plenty of them, always freshly cleaned. There was a joke about her in the neighborhood. She had the whitest socks on the clothesline because she would scrub them with a washboard. And she prided herself in that. And she always made sure that we had nutritional meals. Dad grew most of the stuff that we ate. And she, even without much education, had a way of knowing how to put together a nutritious meal. And she made sure we had 3 nutritious meals. Even if she had to trick my brother into eating more than 1 egg by kind of sticking an egg underneath it so hopefully he wouldn't see. I think she thought she was fooling him, but he knew. And she always made sure we got in bed on time, and we watched only one TV show a night, and that was when TVs came in when I was a little older kid. And it was always like the Donna Reed show, or shows that were very healthy, psychologically speaking. She showed her love in those practical ways, but she didn't hug us a lot or kiss us goodnight or tuck us in, those kind of things. And when I was a kid, I didn't necessarily understand that, but now I get it. She showed her love in practical ways. What with her life, that was her way. Part of that's personality, and part of it's the life that she had. So there are also the moms who can't provide nurturing. And for whatever reason, sometimes we have surrogate moms who come in and provide that nurturing that our mother was unable to do, like my older sister did for me and many other people over the years. And kind of depends sometimes in your age and the age gap between siblings. My mother had 2 children, waited 7 years, had another child, waited 7 years, and they'd had me and my brother. So my older siblings were able to help me understand things I didn't understand as a kid because they were older and had seen things that I had not seen, like during the Depression, things like that. So other people fill in. Think of your surrogate moms who filled in for the nurturing. I can remember one time my mother asked me, "Do you think that I favor one child more over the rest of my children?" And I'm going, ruh-roh. Loaded question. How do I answer that? But I wanted to be honest, but I wanted to be gentle. When I was a kid, I didn't understand it, but as I grew older, I understood. And some of us have trouble understanding. I said to her, "Well, yeah, probably you love Harvey, your older son. And then maybe your next son, Benjamin." She said, "Oh, but I would die in a fire for any of you." And I said, I know you love us all equally. And you favor your 2 sons, and especially the older, your firstborn son. And when I was little, I didn't understand that. But now I get it. We all have preferences. I prefer chocolate over vanilla. We all just enjoy being with certain people more than others. It's not something we reason out, not something we need to feel guilty for, as long as we're not mean to the other person. She tried not to show it, but it showed. But it didn't mean that she didn't love me. But when we're little kids trying to figure that out, it can be tough. Some of you may relate to that story. That's why I'm telling it. So there's a story that was told by a mystic in Syria. And he was, in all religions, there's a continuum. There's a mystical end and there's a more traditional end. In all religions have that. And he was more of the mystical end of the Hindu religion, and he's the first person who transcribed or a totally nonviolent transcription of the Quran. And he told this story of a mother's courage, and this is a true story that happened in Syria, and it was about a young mother who was the wife of a fallen hero. Her husband had been killed by regime forces. And at one point, this was years later, she saw a crowd in front of her home, and she saw her 14-year-old son surrounded by Syrian secret service agents. She rushed outside, broke through the crowd, grabbed her son's hand tightly, and stood facing the agents. One of them screamed at her, "Move away, woman!" But she was determined to stand still, staring into his eyes. She and her son were both trembling, but only from the inside, only from within. She said, "I could feel the strong beating pulse of my son's little wrist in my hand. He felt like a frightened little bird in my hand. But externally, we both looked calm." An agent then moved in closer to her face and put a rifle up to her face in the opening on her neck. And he says, if you don't move away, you know what'll happen." She was silent, willing to die. She said, "There's no way I could have let them take my son, especially after they had killed my husband." Her stillness and defiance made the other agents uneasy, and they pressured their colleague to back off. And one of them said to her, "You're a strong woman." And she said, "I'm not strong." And then she added softly, It's from God. And they finally backed off. Charles Fillmore, one of our co-founders of Unity, said, and speaking of a mother's courage and courage in general, courage is a spiritual quality that enables us to remain poised and centered in divine presence amidst great difficulties and even danger. It enables us to have the realization that the Almighty God of the universe is a spiritual presence which is constantly striving to express in us and through us. It fills us with new courage and a fearlessness that is beyond description. We have to be strong and courageous and fearless. Well, maybe not fearless. Maybe we can be strong and courageous even in the midst of our fear. But we need to be that to allow our courage to do its work. We have to be strong to allow our courage to do its work, while at the same time allowing our nurturing side to surface. Isn't it comforting to know that we don't have to face any challenge alone? We are armed with the new boldness of Spirit of God. And we know with this arming that we are equal to every experience in life because we are not alone. And we have the conviction, I am fearless, I am strong, I am powerful. From Psalms 31 verse 24, be strong and let your heart take courage. Be strong and let your heart take courage. Listen to your heart. Follow your heart. I'd like to read today's daily word. It is a beautiful one. I don't always do this, but sometimes I do a prayer, sometimes I do a meditation, and sometimes I allow this daily word to be that prayer and that meditation. So if you would like to sort of quieten yourself, soften your gaze, and be with me as I read this. It's called Mother's Blessing. I honor all mothers, and I am grateful for their love. I bless my mother, and am grateful to her for the gift of nurturing love. Whether my mother is still with me or has passed on, her love still lives in my heart, and her wisdom continues to inspire me. I am grateful for the many ways my mother has blessed me. I also feel deep appreciation and tender affection for all those who have blessed me with the selfless gift of motherly love. I would not be who I am without them. Through the living example of the mothers in my life, I pass along the blessings of a mother's care and devotion as I embrace opportunities to share an affirming thought, an encouraging word, a smile, or a simple act of kindness. I honor my mother and all mothers as I share the love of God that never fails. And the biblical verse that supports today's daily word is from Proverbs 31, verse 26. She opens her mouth with wisdom, and the teaching of kindness is on her tongue. Wow. It's our offering time. And remember that all the ways that you give, whether it be sacred service, sharing your energy, a helping hand, a kind word, a phone call, whatever you do to give, the sending of money, the giving of money to those in greater need, giving Unity of Stockton money, whatever, all the ways that you give are so greatly appreciated. And for those of you who send in checks to us or have them sent from your bank, or go on our website and do PayPal to send us money, just want you to know how very much appreciated it is, and know that those gifts will be used to transform lives. That is the product that we put out there, transforming lives. And know that those gifts will be used for a purpose that is greater than we are. So when we give, in whatever ways that we give from the heart. And on our dollar bill it says, "In God we trust." We affirm our partnership with Divine Source, and we know that whatever we give brings increase of some kind. It's a divine law that never changes. There's the ebb and the flow, the giving and receiving. And what gift we get back may not be in the form that we expect it to be, or think it ought to be, or think it will be. But there is always a giving and receiving. And the receiving is in direct proportion to the giving. So thank you for blessing your offering of sacred service, or a kind word, or money to those in greater need, money to Unity of Stockton, whatever that is. Bless that money before you send it, before you give it. An announcement. We always have every Sunday, and today, a Unity Cafe where we get together after our Sunday message on Zoom. Every Sunday at 11:30 to 12:30. If you don't have the Zoom link, let me know. I'll send it to you. It is available on Facebook and on our website and on, well, those are the two main places. But I wanted to tell you that there's a special Unity Cafe coming up next Sunday. So I'm going to make a special announcement right now, and it's taken me a while to take it on and really have positive expectations about it, but I'm asking you to do that. Next Sunday, a very special Unity Cafe, a special get-together after our Sunday talk. That's May 17th. The name of my talk, ironically, I've had for weeks. It's called Optimistic Expectations. It's very much in alignment with what we're going to meet about. And I want you to know that next Sunday's cafe, although we normally meet at 10:30, next Sunday's cafe will meet a half hour early, 11 o'clock. Did I say 10:30? We normally meet at 11:30, but next Sunday, May 17th, we're meeting at 11 so that we have a full hour and a half, because we have a lot to discuss. So here is why. Our building where we have our services has been sold. We have new landlords. Our rent is going up. The board is considering all of our options, the board of directors. We would like the input of all of our members. We need your input. So next Sunday's Unity Zoom Cafe starts at 11, half hour earlier. We'll send you a letter and an email inviting you, all the members anyway, and sending you the Zoom link, which can be accessed by telephone. If you're not a computer savvy person, you can access Zoom by telephone or on your computer. The link is also available on Facebook and meetup.com and on our website, unityofstockton.org. So let's discuss our options and decide what we want to do. We'll send letters out Monday and emails. Okay, so a special Unity Cafe next Sunday. So for more information about this, join us for today's cafe at 11:30, and we'll try to fill you in just a bit more. So happy Mother's Day, and wishing you all a blessed and joyous day, a quiet day, a relaxing day. Namaste. The divine in me sees the divine in you. Mother's Day blessings.